Well, I mean, obviously, being in Arizona, had an opportunity to watch him as a young player coming up, and he would come to our 7-on-7s at night, and so I stood about 3 feet from him and watch him throw. He can make all the throws. He's very talented with his arm, has the ability to make plays with his feet, and he's got a lot of really good players around him, so he's able to, showcase all of his skills. So, very impressive young man.
Matt Wells called Collins' game this past Saturday the best he's played so far at Texas Tech. What, from your perspective, made this his best game?
I think he's just getting more comfortable. I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, you come in, you're trying to learn a new language, adjustments. There's just so much that goes into it, and I think he just now starts to he just where he feels like he's kind of got his feet on the ground. He just feels a lot more comfortable in the system, and he does. He gets better and better every practice, every week. You kind of saw the instinctiveness that he already possesses. He just has a natural gift for finding the football, and that's just something that it was very pleasing to see, and he played really well.
You guys have a lot of transfers playing prominent roles on that defense. So what made, I guess, anytime they come in, it's about getting them, comfortable. So how nice was it then on the biggest play of the game to see a Duke transfer and Arizona transfer combine to force the fumble, and a Penn State transfer picks it up and takes it to the house?
I hadn't really quite thought of it like that. I kind of look at them as Texas Tech Red Raiders, but yeah, I mean, obviously we're trying to stay old on defense and recruit players that have maturity and a physical presence about themselves, and that was good to see that. Actually, if you want to throw it another step, it was actually probably Schooler that caused the fumble. Everybody gives credit to Big Cheetah, but it looked like to me when Schooler came inside out, he reached in and punched the ball out with his hands. So, you can talk about all that. There was actually three of them involved in that one play. So, but again, it's just just kind of the philosophy that we've adapted defensively, and while it gives us a chance to grow our younger players and allow them to mature and spend time in that weight room with Shoals.
Go to Don.
You actually just answered a question I was going to ask you. I thought the same thing going back and watching the game. I thought it was like Schooler pulled it out.
Yeah.
Was kind of holding him up.
That's what I thought when I watched the the back-to-back, where you watch the wide angle and then the end zone shot, and then you watch the TV copy behind it. I thought it looked like Schooler, but Big Cheetah was over here last night at about 9 o'clock trying to argue with me that it was him that caused it.
Yeah. How did you feel like you kind of performed, overall, particularly holding Lady Brown to, we were talking so much about him last week, you held him to 77 yards, and that was just season low. How did you feel about your run defense?
I was proud of our kids. I thought it got a little bit loose there after the two sudden changes. I thought we made a great play on the 3rd and 3, 3rd and short. I mean, where, we held them, get off the field, and then they faked the punt on us. And then after the turnover that we had on offense, I felt like, I thought, oh, man, here we go again. We take the field, and it got a little bit shaky. We had like 4 missed assignments and a busted coverage that led to 14 points before you could blink an eye. And I was just like, I mean, it's baffling to me at times, when stuff like that happens. It's just like all but one lug nut on the wheel falls off, and we get a little bit wobbly. And then after that, you come back and there's just stretches where we play. I mean, if you look at the last 5 possessions of the game, I think we went punt, fumble recover for a touchdown, punt, and then a 2-minute situation, we're off the field. Again, we go 5 possessions where they don't really do anything. So, we really harped on the mentality of, when adversity strikes in the course of the game, we have to be basically we have to elevate our focus when we take the field, and we got to see that as an opportunity, you know, to be able to flip momentum back into to our favor. So I was, you know, outside of those two series there, and then we busted a coverage on the play action post wheel, you know, that got behind us there to set up their first touchdown. But, you know, other than just, you know, for the most part, I felt really pretty good. I thought our run fits were tight. We basically, you know, challenged them. If they were going to throw the ball, they're going to throw it to the outside part of the field. And, you know, just sometimes, you know, stuff works out, and that we were fortunate that it did that night.
What did you think, asked Matt this earlier, I was curious your perspective, Eli in that game, you know, made about 3 or 4 plays late third and through the fourth quarter, really seemed to turn it up a notch. What do you?
Yeah, you know, I think we did a nice job keeping them fresh, not letting them go in the tank. When big guys go in the tank, they're in the tank. They're not coming out of it. And so I think we did a nice job rotating people in early in the game to keep them fresh when it does get down to that point to where, you know, it comes down like a Texas situation, which just like this one did the other night, it comes down to a 2-minute drill. You got to have people to put on the field, and you saw it the other night. Now we were able to have fresh bodies, and we were able to get after them with a 4-man rush. But I really liked the fact that, boy, that one play that Eli made on the stretch was as good a play as you'll see. I mean, he came flat down the line of scrimmage, and I mean ran Letty Brown down, and that was very, very impressive. Then, like you said, had a big sack. He just ran smooth by that offensive tackle. Great pass rush technique. So was very proud to see him. I think we just kept him fresher, and the weather was a little bit cooler than what it's been, you know, in the earlier games.
You know, roughly how many snaps he played, or how many snaps?
I should know that, Don, but I think I'm going to say we try to keep those guys, and I don't know where his numbers ended up, but I'm going to say he probably played, because I think we were right at 80 snaps. So, I mean, he's probably going to be somewhere between 55 and 65, I would bet. You know, obviously, if we had Nelson healthy, we'd play him less than that. And, you know, that was part of the problem as far as the depth goes, is losing Nelson to be able to spell him, and where they could play 50-50, and they'd both, you know, be very effective. And he just has to play a little bit more than maybe we'd like to play him.
So now you just have basically Tyree to rotate with him?
Got Tyree, and then we're trying to bring Devin Drew along. You know, so I think we'll be able to do that this week. You know, it should be a 4-man rotation. You got Belidi and Tyree, Eli, and then now Devin can be that 5th guy this week. So that hopefully that'll give us a little bit more depth on the perimeter.
Saw Joe raise his hand. We'll go to Joe real quick.
Yeah, Coach, given how much you were focusing on Letty and that rushing game, how critical was DeMarcus Fields to your defense?
Cut out. About Fields.
Yeah. You kind of cut out on me there. I didn't hear the last part of your question. I just heard the first part about asking me about DeMarcus.
Could you not hear me?
No.
We got you now, Joe.
Okay.
Repeat the question then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Basically, what I was asking was, given how much attention you devoted to stopping Letty Brown in that rushing attack, how critical was DeMarcus Fields to your defensive game plan and the extent to which he stepped up?
Yeah, I thought he probably played his best game of the year as well. You know, he had 3 pass breakups. You know, he intercepted the ball at the end of the game. That ball never did hit the ground, and so he got kind of he was over here debating last night, trying to get me to vouch for that, but the ball never hit the ground. It was on his body the whole time, and he was able to, you know, make a nice play there at the end of the game. But yeah, he played a really he was just active. I mean, the thing I like about DeMarcus is he just brings such a competitive spirit. Like, he wants to cover the best guy they got. I mean, he's over there like put me on him, coach. I mean, whoever, you know, and he just brings a competitive edge to us in the back end, and I was very pleased with the way that he's continuing to progress and get better. You know, we've solidified him in there and playing at corner, and he's playing really, really well for us right now. But it's big. I mean, you know, any time that you can, you know, he plays really good. Well, he plays really well in man. He's a strong, physical kid that can play good zone defense and run support, and he's I like the way that he's continuing to develop.
Go back to Eric.
Coach Matt, final possession for West Virginia. I feel like a lot of their momentum can get started if they complete that first pass, but Alex made a nice play on it. Where has he developed in terms of his ability?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all about consistency. You know, that's what we said, that was the big thing that we talked about earlier in the week. There'd been stretches in the first 3 Big 12 games where you see we play really, really well at times, and then there's just times where, whether it be a mental lapse or whatever, it gets a little bit inconsistent. So that's where we just challenged all of our players. You know, we just need to continue to make plays like that throughout the course of the game, and that was a big play to get them. You know, and then I thought we was going to get off the field on the 4th down play, and I believe it was Adrian got a little bit tripped up and kind of fell down, and the guy makes a nice catch over there. It's a nice throwing catch. Got to give those guys credit. But I was glad that it ended up having to come down to that last play with 1 second, you know, on the clock for us to be able to finish the game in that style. I think that just built a lot of confidence in our guys that, hey, we can finish. It just takes a you know, an elevated focus and an intensity mentally to finish games like that and win.
We'll finish up with Don.
Keith, we got to see Troy Teo for the first time the other night. What did he do to put himself in position to get the snaps and key moments?
He's a young man that's a walk-on that I mean, he caught my eye way back in fall camp, just his explosiveness and his strength and just his work ethic that he brings every day. He just continues to develop, and I told Paul, don't blink an eye, put him in the game. Let's keep Jalen and let's keep Tony. Again, I think it was all part of our plan. We knew that, hey, if we're going to sell out to stop the run, let's get people fresh, get them rotating early in the game, and then when the game comes down to crunch time, you know, and I think it really had something to do with the way that we finished. I mean, when you finish the last 5 possessions against a team of that caliber, and you know, that had, you know, 3 really explosive wide receivers and a running back that was established as a second leading rusher in the conference. I mean, I think it really did a lot to boost our confidence defensively to be able to finish like that. And I think a lot of it had to do with young men like Teo coming in and playing a role early in the game, as well as Devin Drew, and he got us some snaps in there as well, and allowed us to stay fresh and keep those guys to be able to get after the passer when it came down to the end of the game.
On OU, speaking of explosive receivers, what kind of plan do you have there with Marvin Mims in particular?
Yeah, you know, you got Mims and Rambo, and the big tight end's an intriguing guy. You know, 6'6", 255 pounds. Boy, they really like to target him. He creates a matchup problem or two for you. And then, yeah, you're right. They're all explosive, athletic wide receivers. And then anytime you have Spencer with the arm talent that he has, can spread the ball around the field, and has the ability to make plays with his feet. Got big, athletic offensive linemen. So, you know, we really haven't. I mean, we're really just spending last night and today really studying Oklahoma, and we'll get together here after practice and really begin to hone in on how we're going to corral these guys or try to corral them. And you know, I feel good about where our kids are mentally. I know they're excited to play. You know, being over here yesterday and earlier this morning, so we'll put it together and see how it goes.
You mentioned Rattler. Your experience with him out there in Arizona when he was coming to camps, he was what, 13, 14.
Oh man, yeah, and even his senior, right, going into his senior year, we had those we had about 4 7-on-7s throughout the course of June, and his team was always there. Then, and man, I just sat there. I remember he wore a little visor and sitting there just spinning that football. I mean, I'd never seen a high school quarterback throw a football like he throws it, and so I recognized his talent obviously at a very young age. But man, he can spin it. So it'll be good. It's a good challenge for us to see. It's a different kind of challenge every single week, and we just got to make sure that we're sound and we just continue to improve and develop that consistency, which I was pleased because we really, like I said, other than the 2 sudden changes opportunities in that second series when they just scored and again, 2 of those scores came up on busted coverages. But I mean, like, if we just can continue to get rid of that stuff and make people earn everything, which I think we've done a nice job of, And again, I thought the other night too, a big thing was third down. I mean, we got after them on third down, 11 of 15 on third down, and it should have been 12 of 15 if Tony ends up face masking Daggy there on the had him. He tried to finish him off instead of just getting him down, and he reaches and gets the face mask, or we could have been even better on third down. So I thought that was a key to the game as well as stopping the run.
Well, it's they've kind of been doing that throughout the season. A lot of that freshman class. I mean, Polk and Loic and Holcomb played a lot. Miles has played a ton. Has started a few games and everything, and then Taj has kind of been kind of back and forth with the running back kind of depth in that. So really, they stepped up and did a nice job. Caleb Rogers got his probably most playing in a game also the other day. So a lot of those freshmen are kind of key contributors and kind of part of the normal rotation as we go through this season. But they're doing a tremendous job. I mean, they're playing above what freshmen are. They still make some freshman mistakes. I mean, there's plenty on the video, and we were going over that this morning with the guys that wasn't exactly the way we hoped for it to go, but things that we're get better from, and just got to keep improving.
What does it say about Henry's confidence? Just that he, specifically that first drive, 3rd and 4, he's able to hit that deep shot to Miles, and then on a big 4th and 10, he's able to have that confidence to step up, doesn't panic, and just zips one in to easy and makes plays that 3 or 4 year veterans would make.
Well, it was a good start. I mean, there was definitely things he can get better at. I mean, kind of good video this morning to kind of grow from, and him watching it kind of on his own the last couple of days to kind of see all that. So he'd seen things he can improve on. But no, I mean, the 3rd and 4 play gets us into a good play. Ends up having to leave the pocket. Could have probably gotten Miles the ball earlier within the progression in that. We didn't get quite to him in that, so when kind of slid out there and found him, but did a nice job keeping his eyes downfield when he scrambled, which he's predominantly his scrambles have been more real decisive. He kind of tucks it and gets vertical and gets what he can that way, but that one he kind of got a little bit pushed out the side, so looked more down the field and was able to make that play. And then the 4th and 10 play, I mean, we're right outside of really where we wanted to kick a field goal from with the wind the way it was. So, and we had talked about that before, where we kind of needed to get to when we didn't get kind of into the space we wanted. Gave him some options. He got us into a play he felt comfortable with, attacked the kind of the cover 3 that they were going to run, and then a lot of guys did a lot of good things on that play. But I mean, him and EZ get a lot of the credit. But I mean, he had a completely clean pocket to throw from. The tailback did a great job of widening the window, and even Kuntz, who was on the other side coming in, came in and got the linebacker to go that way, so that throwing window kind of really opened up, and then he threw a really good ball on time, and EZ was able to go make a catch with a guy kind of close to him, kind of almost in contact with him. So it was an excellent play to get us a chance to keep that drive going and going down there and get a score on that drive.
What kind of challenges does this OU defense present for y'all?
Well, they're fast. They're very physical. I mean, they fly around. They do a lot of movement up front to disrupt your blocking schemes from run game to pass game, and Every now and then your teams have caught them for a big play, but there's a lot of zero plays on that video as I'm watching it. A lot of tackles for loss, and they get after the quarterback and they get after the run game that way. And then coverage-wise, they will play man, they play zone, they mix it up. They do a great job disguising it. They've got a lot of experience back there in their secondary, and those guys I think can play with a lot of confidence. So it's going to be quite a challenge and everything. We got to attack them. I mean, that's going to be our whole thing, is that we're attacking them. Don't let them attack us. And with our tempo or with the calls we're making, but we need to go out and try to set the tone and set the pace from the beginning.
Go to Carlos Silva.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I guess just playing off of Eric's question, in terms of the freshmen, in a normal year, would they normally get the same type of reps that they've gotten during this kind of crazy year? And I guess how have you seen those reps help them? Maybe not necessarily have those wide eyes under the bright lights, as some coaches will kind of mention.
Well, they probably got a few extra reps because we've had some guys in and out with different quarantine type deals, which helps them in practice to get those opportunities. And but along the same way, some of those guys kind of went through the same things being quarantined too, so that might have slowed down their process a little bit early. I mean, in Miles' case, really he wasn't available for the first game, and that Loic was kind of in that same mode. Caleb's had that time where he's not been available. So but that group, we were really excited about them when we got them last year committed, and then when we signed them and everything, and then when they showed up kind of in the summer and going through OTAs, it was kind of what we hoped for. Guys that were ready to kind of step in and play, and they kind of did it from the beginning. As soon as we started the kind of the OTA stuff, it was like, well, we were right on these guys because they can play and help us and everything. But they've done a tremendous job, and just the more they play, the better they're going to get, the more accustomed they get to it. I mean, you see Miles gets better every week. Played the most snaps he's played in a game the other night, and I mean, if that had been 3 weeks ago, he would have been, I mean, about every 3 to 4 plays he played, his engine was running really fast and everything, and he needed a breather. Now his conditioning's better, but also he's a lot more kind of relaxed and calm, that he's able to play longer stretches for us and make plays. So it's been a positive, and that group is really good, and they're guys we're going to continue to lean on and build on as we move forward.
Last one for me. In terms of Taj Brooks, I guess when you all recruited him, what were you looking at in terms of what he did well that fit your system, and what did you see from him in those last 5 minutes that allowed him to kind of help you all slowly solve that victory?
Well, I think a lot of people saw him as kind of a little bit of a bigger back, thicker guy, but really he's a side-to-side cut guy as we saw on any video we saw of any high school kids last year when we were evaluating all those, and we watched probably 60 to 70 tailbacks as we were going through it with Coach Smith, and that what stood out was his ability to make guys miss in space with kind of a lateral cut type movement, which he does. He had to do it probably 4 or 5 times. We watched it this morning as a whole offensive unit. We watched some of those, and we point those things out. It's kind of we call it the make you miss drill, but they're running, and then you make a lateral kind of 90-degree cut across the guy's face, and they would get vertical again. And he kind of has that natural ability. He's done it as kind of his whole career. When you watch his high school highlights, you see that a lot, even not always just first level and second level, even down the field on safety sometimes. So we kind of thought he had that and kind of expected him to do that, and then he's done it. Had to do it the other night a couple of times, kind of in the backfield. We had a little penetration. He was able to kind of use his feet and kind of stop, start sideways, and then get vertical again and be able to finish runs and take those from being maybe a yard or 2 yards into the 5 and 6 yard range, and even got one, I think, up to 8 one time that, I mean, really made a guy miss kind of almost on the line of scrimmage. So that way, and then he finishes the run. He's not performed like a true freshman any day he's been here, from especially like in protection. He'll step in there and put his face right in there and protect, and has picked up kind of how we protect, how we call it, so he knows who he has and is really diligent in that. But Coach Smith's done a great job with him, but he plays beyond just kind of his experience in that. So it's been a nice, thick kind of running back room we've had with Sir Roderick and X-White and then Chad and Taj. You got 4 guys that you can put in the game, and you feel really confident that what they bring to the table is going to help us be successful.
We'll finish up with Don.
David, late in that game, well, throughout the game, you don't have Baxter, Carter, Dalton Rigdon, and late third quarter on, you don't have Thompson, you don't have Xavier. So you're looking down there, and you've got first-time starting quarterback and a bunch of freshmen at the skill positions, with the exception of EZ. To what degree did that affect, particularly being a one-score or tie game, what degree does that affect your package and what you give to those guys to run?
Well, really at that point, and as we were kind of picking out what we wanted to use on the next drive and everything, I don't know if that ever really even came up. It was just, hey, we felt we'd been able to run the ball pretty well throughout the day, especially in certain points that we felt we'd be able to run the football. Tried to go back to the things that Henry feels most comfortable with, that he feels confident in, that we know he'll execute at a high rate, and then trying to make sure we didn't kind of play into their hand of putting their D-line, I mean the strength of their defense, kind of in a spot to kind of take advantage of things. So we were trying to kind of mix it up. I mean, we kind of got away from our play action stuff earlier because they'd done a nice job with some of their line games. It kind of affected that in that way. So we were a little bit more into our true kind of drop back and quick game mode of our 5- and 6-man protection. Henry was doing a really good job getting us into plays and good looks and being able to get the ball out of his hand at a high rate, and then kind of that. And he does a nice job of, when he doesn't like it, kind of getting that ball tucked down and getting vertical and getting us positive yards. But, no, we felt good. We went through. We picked out about 11, 12 things that we felt really good with as we got going into each drive and just kind of put it together. And I don't know if we ever even brought up the fact that – I mean, we did bring up the fact that Taj was basically it. And basically he was told, you can't get tired, can't get worn out, can't get injured. You got to play. And there was never any hesitation from him in that way. And then, I mean, John Holcomb and Kuntz did a really good job blocking on the edge for us in a lot of the 6-man schemes we were using that way. And then the line did a really good job of straining on those guys. I mean, that D-line is a talented group. They make that whole defense go and everything, and I thought our offensive line was able to kind of negate them and actually get the upper hand on more than a few times to give us the ability to be able to run the ball when we wanted to run it and also be able to throw it when we wanted to throw it, which that shows a sign of a good offense, I think, is when it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and we call a run play and we know we're going to get the first, or in that case it's 4th and 10. Everybody in the stadium knows we're going to throw the football, and our line does a great job of protecting and giving Henry the time he needs to be able to make that. So really thought those guys performed well up front to kind of do that, and we were leaning a little bit more what would put our O-line in the best position.
Yeah. What about from the angle of kind of the same thing, but from the angle of field position? Because late in that game, you had 4 series that started inside your 20-yard line. How careful did you feel like you have to be, or is that something that you that is brought up?
Well, it's you kind of get into that. I mean, there was one 3rd down that we actually ran Henry on it, and it was a situation where kind of didn't want to put it in harm's way. Henry's done a great job of not really putting the ball in harm's way as far as making his decisions, and really has been good with the ball, knock on wood, and protecting that in that way. So you got to trust your quarterback's going to make good decisions in that way. But no, when you're backed up like that, you kind of, I mean, the playbook does shrink down a little bit. You want to make sure you're doing things that are going to get you vertical. You don't want to do anything that's going to really affect the team in an adverse way and give the defense really bad field position to work with and everything. I mean, those first 2 drives in the 4th quarter, we didn't accomplish what we wanted to. We went 3 and out on the one, and then we got a 1st down, but was not able to really flip the field in that way. Which the last drive, when we got it back with 5 minutes, that was good to see. I mean, we were able to kind of run the ball the way we wanted to run it. Like to run the whole clock out and everything, but we were able to flip the field, and really it was about I think it ended up being about a 73-yard field flip when it was all said and done, we started on the 10, and then they got their drive started on the 17 that way with a great punt by Austin and that. So you kind of work that way, but you get to a point in that game where you're just playing to win, and what's the best strategy to get that accomplished.